if you like, because the tablet device has only been available for a limited period of time. But we know from what we've seen with other industries that the impact of piracy, once people start to realise that it's a possibility, is very significant. Estimates were that if nothing's done about peer-to-peer piracy, it could be likely to increase by 18% in the period between 2008 and 2015, i.e. Certainly not flatlining, but increasing markedly. Publishing is in no different situation. It has content that has for a long time been only accessible in a means through a purchase through a shop, paper copy. But the more and more people become used to using tablets to access content, the more the attraction of free will mean the problem will increase. So it's already significant, and unless something's done, it's going to be more and more significant. 36% of tablet users and 29% of ebook readers admitted to regularly or occasionally downloading ebooks. And when I say admitted, the crucial word missing is doing so illegally. What's at the heart of the problem is the pipe that enables people to communicate with these sorts of sites, and therefore, if you think about it simplistically, focusing on the ISP as the means, the necessary means to enable access to these different environments is key to trying to identify a solution. To enable this to work, to enable people down here, users, to access all this stuff, you have ISPs, the pipe. They're either these arrows, or here I've represented them as a block. Fundamentally, they're the infrastructure that enables all this to work. The industry is probably more aware than perhaps the music industry was way back, in the sense that it's seen that there is an issue, and unless it's addressed, then it's going to suffer the same fate. So I think it must be more aware than in the past. Whether it's sufficiently aware is another matter. To bring the sorts of scale of cases that you need to bring to show a real risk of being caught infringing copyright down here would be very, very expensive. I think that you've got 233 cases, and that was enough in terms of cost. But that was obviously not even touching the extent of the problem in terms of the amount of people that were engaging in this activity. So you got headlines, and that obviously raised profile, but it didn't, if you like, solve the problem. The jury's out on the Digital Economy Act because the costs involved in engaging with the process of the Digital Economy Act could be quite significant. They're not finalised yet, but it's expected to be quite a costly process. On the other hand, as I spoke about in the talk, the survey that we undertook back in 2008 suggested that if you did notify users, a large proportion of them, our figure was 70%, would stop infringing copyright. So whether it will work will depend upon whether the costs are manageable and how effective that notice sending actually is in educating consumers about what's going on. How people will react to receiving a letter is not something that you can predict. Human behaviour is so varied. Some people will, of course, try and find other means to infringe, but some people will engage in thought about what they're doing and will react differently. So if you've got a range of reactions available to you, you can't just defeat a piece of legislation by saying, well, it's just going to be ineffective, which is what their argument really was. Google is taking a very fixed view. It says, effectively, we do a lot in terms of responding to notices, so we will act if you tell us, but that's the end of it. So if Google could de-rank so that priority is given to lawful sites as opposed to unlawful sites, that would be a major step forward, because the Google operation is obviously incredibly significant to consumers. Most people only look at the first page of results when they check for something. If the first page of results is for infringing content rather than lawful content, that's obviously a big problem.
Piracy is a growing problem for PPA members, and today we heard from a leading expert in how, as a membership, we can take action against these websites that offer content which has been illegally obtained and is downloadable for free. I mean, it's a growing problem, and I think we're reaching a tipping point in where industry needs to take action against these websites and to work in partnership with search engines and ISPs to tackle this problem.